Hello, and welcome to your daily Top 50 News Briefing for Saturday, April 18th, 2026. In the next few minutes, we'll cover the biggest stories from around the world, technology, India, and business. Let's get started. Story number 1 in world news. Madonna joins Sabrina Carpenter to surprise Coachella. The Queen of Pop makes a guest appearance during the Espresso Singers headline set. Story number 2 in tech news. The App Store is booming again, and AI may be why. New data from AppFigures shows a swell of new app launches in 2026, suggesting AI tools could be fueling a mobile software boom. Story number 3 in India news. More than 500 shops raided near schools in Hyderabad under Operation Safe School. Story number 4 in finance news. Iran says Strait of Hormuz is closed again as vessel attempting to cross comes under gunfire. Iranian officials say they have closed the strait because of the U.S.'s ongoing blockade of its ports. Story number 5 in world news. Orbán's era was over in a flash, and Hungary's next PM is a man in a hurry. Peter Magyar and his Tisza party are wasting no time preparing for the transfer of power after their dramatic landslide victory. Story number 6 in tech news. Once close enough for an acquisition, Stripe and Airwallex are now going after each other. For most of its life, Airwallex and Stripe have mostly operated in different geographies, selling to different buyers. That's changing. Story number 7 in India news. Provide reservation benefits to Dalit Christians, SEBA urges Center. Story number 8 in finance news. We spoke to over 30 central bankers, policymakers, and politicians. Here are their top concerns. From stagflation to energy security, policymakers spoke to CNBC about the biggest risks arising from the ongoing U.S.-Iran war. Story number 9 in world news. Millions listen to Ethiopian star's song Taking Swipe at Government. The country's biggest musician Teddy Afro laments a lack of unity in the country on his new track. Story number 10 in tech news. Sam Altman's Project World looks to scale its human verification empire. First up, Tinder. World, which has raised eyebrows but also a lot of interest with its orb-centered anonymous verification project, is looking to expand its influence via a bevy of new partnerships. Story number 11 in India news. Coppa detention for key accused in Thiruvala gang rape case. Story number 12 in finance news. Berkshire shares left behind as S&P 500 rallies to record high. While the overall market was soaring over the past 2 weeks, Berkshire wasn't doing much of anything, as its shares slipped to MTD drops of just under 1%. Story number 13 in world news. French film star Nathalie Baye dies aged 77, media report. President Macron said France had loved, dreamed, and grown up with the stalwart of French cinema. Story number 14 in tech news. Kevin Weil and Bill Peebles exit OpenAI as company continues to shed side quests. Kevin Weil and Bill Peebles are leaving OpenAI as the company shuts down Sora and folds its science team, signaling a sharp pivot away from consumer moonshots toward enterprise AI. Story number 15 in India news. Criticism of existing system should not be treated as condemnation. Justice Manmohan. Regarding the role of technology, he said it had always been a double-edged weapon. Story number 16 in finance news. Iran war for dollars gas prices took all the fun right out of the U.S. Consumer economy. Consumers are still spending amid U.S.-Iran war and $4 gas prices, but there's a pullback at entertainment and dining venues hitting local economies hard. Story number 17 in world news. DR Congo accepts first set of deportees from the U.S. The Congolese government stresses those expelled from the U.S. are only in the country temporarily. Story number 18 in tech news. Man who hacked U.S. Supreme Court filing system sentenced to probation. Nicholas Moore hacked into 3 U.S. government networks using stolen credentials, and then bragged about it and posted victims' personal data on Instagram under the handle at iHacketTheGovernment. Story number 19 in India news. Workshop highlights need for empowered anti-trafficking units and coordinated efforts to combat human trafficking effectively. Story number 20 in finance news. It's just scale. Local mom-and-pop car dealerships are growing or dying amid industry consolidation, rise of mega retailers. Multi-billion-dollar dealerships have been on the rise amid a decades-long consolidation that has led to a grow-or-die mentality for many U.S.
auto retailers.
Story number 21 in world news. White House and Anthropic hold productive meeting amid fears over Mythos model. The discussion is a sign the AI firm's technology may be too critical for even the U.S. government to do without. Story number 22 in tech news. Sources: Cursor in talks to raise $2 billion plus at $50 billion valuation as enterprise growth surges. Returning backers A16Z and Thrive are expected to lead the round. Story number 23 in India news. Interlinking of rivers remains key poll issue among voters in Polar. More than 90% of residents in the constituency depend on agriculture. However, Chayar River, which is a lifeline for residents in the region, remains seasonal. Story number 24 in finance news. These chipmakers and other stocks are overbought after the market rally this week. Investors should be on the lookout for pullbacks in rallying chipmakers and other stocks after the market's advance. Story number 25 in world news. Trump claims on Iranian concessions trigger questions, rejections in Tehran. The political drama culminates with the IRGC announcing that the Strait of Hormuz is once again restricted. Story number 26 in tech news. Dyson's handheld fan is more powerful and louder than I expected. 2 years ago, I attended a picturesque outdoor wedding in August where the hot and humid weather had guests occasionally ducking into their cars to enjoy a blast of AC. Dyson's new $99. Story number 27 in India news. Before boiler blast, Chhattisgarh's worst industrial disaster took place at Vedanta plant. In this tragedy, about 40 laborers were crushed to death. Story number 28 in finance news. Hormuz chaos. Lebanon clashes dent Trump peace deal hopes. Iran on Saturday reimposed restrictions on vessel traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, and Israel attacked targets in Lebanon, undermining expectations of an imminent peace deal touted by U.S. President Donald Trump. Story number 29 in world news. Slavery reparations are just, but who exactly owes whom? Some African elites benefited from slave trade and colonization. This must be taken into account in reparation debates. Story number 30 in tech news. There's nothing like an RPG over vacation. With a vacation comes a big choice. What game should I focus on during the trip? I thought about grinding out the harder levels of Super Meat Boy 3D, but I was looking for something more chill. Story number 31 in India news. Iran Navy stands ready to defeat U.S., warns Mojtaba Khamenei. In a statement carried on his Telegram channel, Khamenei, who has not been seen in public since before the start of the war, said Iran's brave navy stands ready to make the enemies taste the bitterness of new defeats. Story number 32 in finance news. EQT warns of exit risks for alternative energy assets held by PE. EQT AB, Europe's biggest private equity firm, says the path to exiting investments in clean energy developers and operators faces a growing number of hurdles. Story number 33 in world news. Iran's supreme leader warns of new bitter defeats for U.S. and Israel. Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei warned the Navy was ready to inflict new bitter defeats on the U.S. and Israel. Story number 34 in tech news. The AI apps are coming for your PC. Hi friends. Welcome to Installer No. 124, your guide to the best and vergiest stuff in the world. Story number 35 in India news. Center committed to bringing 33% women's reservation before 2029. Sources: the NDA has the support of 293 members in the Lok Sabha. Story number 36 in finance news. Stocks jump in face of uncertainty over Strait of Hormuz. A ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, and news that Iran allegedly decided to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to commercial shipping sent risky assets surging anew on Friday. Story number 37 in world news. Iran's deputy FM says no date for more U.S. talks until framework agreed. Iran's deputy foreign minister said talks with the U.S. cannot happen until the two sides agree on a shared framework. Story number 38 in tech news. OpenAI's former Sora boss is leaving. Last month, OpenAI gave up on its Sora video generation tool, and on Friday, the Sora team's leader, Bill Peebles, announced that he is leaving the company. Story number 39 in India news. Feudal mindset. Smriti Irani slams Congress over women's reservation bill. The former union minister described the opposition stance as a reflection of a feudal mindset. Story number 40 in finance news. Hank Paulson on Iran war, inflation, and market risk. The war in Iran is putting pressure on global energy markets, but its broader economic impact could be even farther-reaching. Story number 41 in world news. Iran closes Strait of Hormuz again over U.S. blockade of its ports. Reports of Iranian gunboats opening fire on tanker after Tehran says it is closing waterway until U.S. lifts its blockade. Story number 42 in tech news. Should you stare into Sam Altman's orb before your next date? Tinder users who prove they're a real person by visiting an identity-verifying orb will soon be able to get 5 free boosts in the app, and it's just the latest service to embrace the orb. Story number 43 in India news. Adopted Playboy persona. Maharashtra man accused of exploiting minors. Both Ayaz and Yusur Khan were arrested on Tuesday. Story number 44 in finance news. Hank Paulson says the U.S. will weather Iran war fallout better than anyone else. The former Treasury Secretary says the U.S. will weather fallout from the war better than anyone. Story number 45 in world news. Gunfire reported by vessel in Strait of Hormuz. A maritime agency reported that a tanker was fired on by gunboats in the Strait of Hormuz. Story number 46 in tech news. Anthropic's new cybersecurity model could get it back in the government's good graces. The Trump administration has spent nearly 2 months fighting with AI company Anthropic. It's dubbed the company a radical left, woke company full of left-wing nut jobs and a menace to national security. Story number 47 in India news. Mentally challenged woman rescued from rooftop, kept requesting for food. The woman was given food and water and rushed to the district hospital. Story number 48 in finance news. Iran says Strait of Hormuz is shut amid reports of gunfire. Iran broadcast to ships in the Strait of Hormuz that the vital oil and gas channel is closed to maritime traffic again, with owners reporting gunfire in the waterway less than 24 hours after the nation's foreign minister. Story number 49 in tech news. Great white sharks are overheating. The sharks might also be the most physiologically vulnerable to warming waters. Story number 50 in India news. Gunfire in Hormuz. Indian flagged tanker among ships targeted as Iran closes strait again. Mixed signals from Iran regarding the Strait of Hormuz have caused Indian and Greek crude tankers to turn back amid heightened tensions. That's all for today's Top 50 briefing. If you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss tomorrow's update. See you again tomorrow.